The final of the four basic rules for differentiation is the sum difference rule. Okay, all the sum difference rule is asking us to look at is what should we do if we have some kind of term where we are adding and subtracting. Okay, so we have an expression like this one, x to the fourth plus 2x minus 3. So we got three terms here in this polynomial. How do we derive this polynomial? Because we have a sum, excuse me, and we have a difference. Well, the sum difference rule says that if that's the case, then just derive each term one at a time. Again, this can all be proven using the definition of the derivative, but we're going to go to the rule because that's our shortcut, if you will. All right, so if we have some term and then we're adding and subtracting another term, the sum difference rule says derive the first one, keep the plus or minus that's in between there, one or the other, and then derive the second term. And then if there's a third term, derive that one. If there's a fourth term, derive that one. Just keep going. As long as we're adding and subtracting term by term, then we just derive one at a time. So if we look at this example right here, f of x is equal to x to the fourth plus 2x minus 3. So we have three terms. They're all connected by either a plus or a minus. So the sum difference rule says just derive each term individually. Okay. So f prime of x, we start by deriving x to the fourth. Which rule are we going to use for that? Exactly, the power rule. All right, so the power rule says we take our exponent, we move it out front, so that gives us a 4, and then we drop one of our exponents. So x to the fourth becomes x cubed. And that's the derivative of our first term. Okay. Now we keep the plus or the minus. In this case, it's a plus. And now we derive the second term. What's the derivative of 2x? We just talked about that in the previous video. When we have 2 times x, that's, whether it's 2 times x or 8 times x or 1,000,000 times x, we're going to use the coefficient rule, which says that the coefficient is going to move right into our derivative. So we have the 2, and then the derivative of x will be 1. Okay, so 2 times 1, we don't need to write the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay. Then, again, the sum difference rule says keep the plus or the minus. So we'll keep the minus, and then we take the derivative of the third term. The third term is 3. That's a constant. What does the constant rule tell us about the derivative of any constant in general? Exactly, it's 0. Okay, so the derivative of 3 is 0. So now we've derived each term one at a time, and we've kept the plus or the minus where they were prior. Okay, and do we need to write the minus 0? No. So technically, where's my eraser? Technically, our answer would just be 4x cubed plus 2.